Spirit. It's everywhere. Are we able to communicate with them? What can they teach us? Welcome to School Through Spirit. Host DeEtte Renee is a certified psychic medium and master teacher of psychic and mediumship development through LWISSD. DeEtte was born knowing spirit and now is here to help you better understand the spirit world. Now, your host of School Through Spirit, DeEtte Renee.
Good Monday morning, everybody. This is DeEtte Renee here on School Through Spirit on WLTK-DB, Let's Talk Digital Radio. This is a show to explore different people's lives, their journeys, and how spirit has just impacted it. Now, I do talk with people from different modalities of spirituality every week, and others that have just found spirituality within their lives. Now, each week I do start the show with something that spirit has asked me to speak about, and then we go on to our guest. Now, this week, my guest is Matthew Croft, and I'm telling you, I hope you love him as much as I love him. And I know I say that every week, but trust me, Matthew's a freaking bomb. I'm telling you what. I will also say there's not too many people I don't know in my world that are not freaking spectacular. And I really chose Matthew this week for a reason, because this is the kickoff to Happy Holidays. Do not tell me I'm too early because it's before Thanksgiving, because this is the holidays. Actually, in my world, I'm a little late. Normally, I kick off with holiday music in my head about beginning of October, end of September, somewhere in there. But today's show is really about Thanksgiving. Let's repeat that. Thankful giving. Thankful giving. Okay. I want to really change that up. Thankful giving. And that's what this show is about. Okay. And really, the reason why I picked Matthew is because he is probably the most thankful, gratitude person, one of them that I know. He really is. He's always giving, just always out there. Beautiful soul. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what. When I think of people that are grateful, I think of Matthew. He's just that awesome. And he is a psychic, he's a medium, he's a healer, he's a yoga person. He lives in New York. Oh my God. And if I'll tell you, if you ever have a chance to creep on his Facebook, do, because the images he gives you is spectacular. I mean, just the beauty he sees through a lens is just phenomenal. And I don't know if he does it through his camera on his phone or if he has a camera. An actual camera. I don't know. We'll have to ask him, won't we? But that is huge. That is huge. So this week it's all about thankful giving, and I really hope you like the new intro for the station, the WLTK station, because it is the holiday one. We are here. We are proud. We are happy. And I'll tell you what, it's awesome. I'm super excited because I am all about the holidays. I'm all about Christmas, and I've already started shopping, like shopping. So, Spirit talked to me today about thankfulness, gratitude, and thankfulness. And I want to speak more about the gratitude than thankful, because not that they're not the same, because they really are. But I like to use gratitude as a word, as a word, and a regular everyday word that's in my everyday vocabulary. Okay. Um, why? I will tell you what. Um, People used to say this to me all the time. They used to say it all the time. You have to have gratitude. Oh my God, you have to have gratitude. If you have gratitude, it comes back at you. And I got so sick of hearing it. I really did get so sick of, like, really, if I said thank you to everything, more was going to come. And I'll tell you what, when I really kind of got down and out, and I don't want to say destitute, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And when I got to that point, I literally said, okay, it's worth a shot. It's worth a try. And I started using the word gratitude. I just used to be, like saying I was thankful for this, or I was grateful for that. And I was shocked because you know what? It worked. It worked. And that was when I really didn't mean it. If that and that was back in the time. Sorry to chop my phone. It was kind of loud. That was during a time that I really didn't necessarily mean gratitude, because I wasn't in a state of mind that I was grateful for a lot of things. I wasn't noticing the stuff in my life to be grateful for. I didn't have, a house, that was in my name. I didn't have great relationships with people, because quite frankly, I wasn't a person to be, you wanted to be friend with, because I was in a bad spot. I didn't have a lot of money coming in, barely enough to pay the bills. I didn't have a credit card because a credit card company couldn't trust me. There was so many things that I had this life of that really came down, because I was in this awful relationship that at one time, I will say at one time, I'm not even gonna say it was awful. To somebody else's perspective, maybe it was awful. To me, I'm very grateful for it now. But back in the day, I felt it was very awful. I felt it was very just like a destitute place to be in. And oh my God, to me, it was just horrendous. But but when I started to use the words grateful, when I started to then feel grateful, when I wanted to get to that place of having nothing but gratitude in my heart and in my soul, life started to change. And it really did. And I really started to look at big pictures, not these small little pictures of, what was happening in my life right now, or oh my gosh, these bad things, blah, blah, blah. I was looking at bigger pictures as like, why is this happening in my life? What is going on in my life? Why is this happening? And I started to have a lot of gratitude towards things, the positive and what some would call the negative. Why? Because those were giving me so much in my life to see that, sometimes you have to have the negative with the positive. You wouldn't understand what positive was if it wasn't for the negative. You wouldn't have growth if it wasn't for the negative. Life is amazing, trust me. And I wish, I really do wish on so many levels, we had nothing but happy, jolly, jingle happiness everywhere. And there was no cancer, and there was no disease, and there was no violence, and there was no all of this. And trust me, I wish there was never war again. I really do. And I wish that we have lived in a society that we could learn from history and not from the present, and have to have those things happening in the present. And I wish we could just be grateful from the past. But I will also tell you, our souls come here to learn. Our souls come here for an experience. And that makes me look at things in a different manner to say, you know what? I really am grateful for these things. I'm grateful for the positive. I'm grateful for the negative. Because of those things, I know what joy is. I never understood what joy was because I didn't understand that those things in my past that were negative were turned into a positive for me. And I know I sound like I'm talking gibberish. And you know what? And maybe I am to a lot of people out there. But putting gratitude with everything in your life is huge. It's huge. And it really starts to open up the door for so much. Excuse me. I guess I'm going back to sneezing noses on my computer. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Before, when I used to do galleries, I never used to, or readings, I never really prayed. I put out a little, hey, thank you for, blah, 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 but never really anything from the heart, never really something from the soul. And I can remember going into galleries and struggling. Gosh, I struggled. God, I struggled. I'll tell you what, it was there, but I struggled. And one day, all of a sudden, and I think, pretty sure I was in Minnesota someplace, like 8 hours away from where I live right now. And oh, this new straight hair thing, I gotta get used to it. Anyway, I was up there 8 hours away, and I remember being so nervous because I looked in and it was the largest group I had ever done readings for. And I was terrified. I was so scared. I'm about to get a cry baby, guys. I'm about to get a baby that's gonna cry. Just oh, we gotta look at this baby, guys. Oh, let's get your nose. Hold on. Let me get your nose. What happened to you? Well, let's only bring you up part of the way because I'm a naked baby. Everybody, this is my grandson, Dawson. Did Mama go? Did Mama go to the kitchen? Mama go find Mama? Sorry, everybody. Sometimes they just want to come say hi. Anyway, getting back to this, I literally sat there and I was terrified. And I didn't know what to do. I thought, I'm going to get up there. I'm going to just bomb. This is just going to be awful. And I can remember sitting out the doors and saying a prayer. But the prayer wasn't, oh God, please allow me to hear spirit. It wasn't anything like that at all. And you would think I'd be down on my knees going, God, please let this work. Please let this work. Please let me hear them. And it wasn't. That wasn't what came from my heart. That wasn't what came from my soul. That's not what I needed. My prayer was literally, thank you for allowing me to do this work. Thank you for gracing me to be a voice for the voiceless. I am so grateful for what I am allowed to do every single day. And I'm beyond grateful to change people's lives, to be part of their lives, to be part of spirit. And at that moment, I will tell you what, other than gratitude filling my heart, truly filling my heart, I had no clue what was happening. But something happened in that moment. And when I went in to do that gallery, it was probably one of the best galleries I've ever done. And I do state it's because of the gratitude. It was nothing but the gratitude. So then after that, I tested this theory a little bit because I thought, wow, that's really awesome. And I'll remember the next gallery, I forgot to pray. I forgot to say thanks. I forgot to be grateful, and it wasn't so good again. I mean, the people in the audience didn't know the difference. Only I did. They all went, oh, it was so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And it probably was. But for myself, it didn't feel like it should. It just didn't. So after that, I really started to look at what am I grateful for? I still didn't have a house. I still didn't have hordes of money. I still don't have hordes of money coming in. I still didn't have a lot. And the one thing I didn't have a lot of was happiness either. It's kind of huge, isn't it? But I started to think, wait a second, what do I have? What do I have? I have a home and I have a beautiful family. And oh my God, my gratitude for that is amazing. I'm safe every day. I can't say I was always safe every day. I can't say I always did the most moral and righteous things, but I can say I do that now to the best of my ability. I'm grateful because I am part of my grandchildren's lives and I get to be all the time. I'm grateful for my family. I am grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for every opportunity that comes my way. I'm grateful for spirit and I'm grateful for me. That's huge, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, did it change the course of me owning my own house or anything like that? No, it didn't. But what it did do was it changed the course of way my thought went, the way I looked at things. And that changed everything. That changed everything. And I will tell you, it started with just happiness, sheer joy, just happiness and joy. That started to come into my life, and it was huge. Oh my God, it was huge. To look at something and recognize it and go, wow, thank you. Wow, I'm happy. Wow, I know what joy is. Those are huge, huge, huge. Okay. But then beyond that, the weirdest things started to happen. I started to have belief within myself. Belief in myself. I think we might get somebody to join us for the whole show. What's going on? Okay, come here. Gotta keep the bottom half on because he's just refusing clothes today. I don't know. Did mom go to the kitchen? Mom. Sorry, guys. I got grandbabies. I told you I was grateful. He fell and hit himself last night. Okay, did everybody say what they had to say? These are two things I'm very, very grateful for. Okay. Say bye. Bye. Say bye. Come on. Go with mommy. I can't come. He's like, "Come on, Nana, come on. I see you in a little bit." Oh, he's gonna kick and scream the whole way, guys. Kick and scream the whole way. So, two of my biggest gratitudes in life. So, but it did change the way I looked at things. And then it changed the belief in myself. I honestly started to believe in myself. That was huge. That's something I hadn't done in eons. I mean, I can't even say years. It felt like eons, if ever. Excuse me. I couldn't remember the last time I had belief in myself. And what happened when I started to have belief in myself, I went and bought a new car, something I'd never done before. Because I never had the gratitude in myself. I never believed in myself. I never had that feeling of I could do this because I never looked at myself like I was worth it. And I had to remember, wait a second, where did this start from? It started because I found gratitude in the simplest things of life. But I was able to buy a car. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And then other things started to happen. Like, you know what? I looked in the mirror and I went, you know what? Why am I not worthy of maybe like other women and go and get my hair done? Or why am I not worthy to wear makeup? Or why am I not worthy to lose 40 pounds? Or why am I not worthy to buy nice things for myself? Or why am I not worthy for all these things? And when I had gratitude, when I incorporated that into my life, all of a sudden I went, you know what? I am worthy. And I allowed myself to have those things. And it was night and day difference, and my life has changed tremendously. And even as I sit here and I'm looking around and I'm going, wow, everything that I'm grateful for around. I've got family, I've got friends, I've got a new car. I do have money coming in. I have more credit cards than I think more one person probably have. But I'm grateful for all of them. Not that I use them all, but I'm still grateful for all of them. Um, all the things that I did not have even 5 years ago because I wasn't grateful for me. I wasn't grateful for me. Excuse me. And it's really weird how that word gratitude starts to change your life. It's phenomenal how that word starts to change your life. And it's strange because nobody explains that to you, do they? Nobody explains that to you. I want to look up the word gratitude. I want to read what it says in the dictionary because you know what? Like you all already know, I am a big person for Google. But grateful. It's an adjective. And it's a feeling or showing of appreciation, kindness, and thankful. Received or experienced with gratitude, welcome, enjoying the grateful shade. Wow, that's really kind of profound if you think about it. It really is. It's huge. And it's funny because nobody ever tells you to be grateful for you, do they? They never look at you and say, you know what? Part of being grateful is being grateful for yourself, grateful for your existence. And I started to realize that, for myself quite a while ago. But I did realize that we don't always look at that. We don't always take the time to look at that. I know with like my granddaughter, oh my gosh, she's learning so much. And she learned a whole bunch last week about being grateful. They did a whole project about all the things they're grateful for. And trust me, I helped her with it. It was awesome. And to hear all the things she said she was grateful for. I mean, she being 4 broke it down to not just friends. She named individual names and individual family members and dogs that have passed away and every kitty and bunnies and her brother and everything under the sky. But never once did she say she was grateful for herself, grateful for life, grateful for love, Grateful to feel love, to feel joy, to feel anger, just to feel. And I really do believe that's where gratitude has to start with is here. It really does. It has to start with an inner like of yourself, an inner gratitude for your very existence. Because how can you necessarily feel gratitude out here, fully anyway, if you don't feel a little bit in here? Now, I'm not going to say that they can't go hand in hand. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to sit there and say you cannot. There's no way you can feel gratitude if you don't feel it here. I'm not going to say that because sometimes you need a spark out here to spark in here. Because you see it all the time. You see it on YouTube videos, TikTok, Facebook, every social media platform. I don't know how often you actually see it on the news, but it is out there, and you'll see it where, you have people that are homeless or out in just down on themselves, um, and maybe not feel any self worth, and it just takes the kindness of a stranger that they're totally grateful for. But it's that one person believing somebody else is worth it. It's worth it. And they're helping them to find the gratitude in themselves. And I want you guys to think about that over this time, over this season, because you know what, whether it is and I know, and I'm really hoping everybody thinks about this stuff after the fact, after the fact, after the holidays. I'm really hoping that people take the time to think about that. Think about charity to themselves, charity to others, gratitude for themselves, gratitude to others after after the fact of um, the holidays. I think that'll really help with a lot of things. I really do. I mean, just think about your New Year's resolutions. Are you already thinking about those? I know I am. I know I am. I mean, it's huge. As you can tell, I've thought about this term a lot over the last few days. A lot. And when you look at this term and you just think about resolutions, because so many people have the resolution, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna lose weight. Or I'm gonna become healthy, or whatever your resolution is. Very few people succeed at it. They really do. But I think it's because sometimes we look at it at the wrong way. We look at it the wrong way. Because if we don't look at ourselves and we don't feel that we ourselves are worthy, we ourselves um, are worth that we're not grateful enough for ourselves, we don't let ourselves have that. And we definitely don't let ourselves have it long term. And I think that's something that we have to look within and realize. We have to look within and let ourselves have. So let's do some exercises. Let's do some practice. Let's think about things that you're grateful for. Okay? Um, and then put that into practice. Literally put that into practice. Because like it said, the dictionary says it's an adjective. Okay? It's an adjective. It's grateful is an adjective. And so let's do something about it. Let's do something about it. Put it into practice. Put the word grateful into practice. Okay? Um, when you think about it, you're grateful for your body. So what are you going to do for your body? Maybe alter your diet a little bit. Maybe practice yoga or exercise, go for walks. You're grateful for your body, so maybe you'll just learn to put lotion on your skin every day and just take care of the skin. Or maybe you'll go, I'm grateful for this body and I'm going to, go someplace and buy something to put on it that maybe makes me feel a little bit better because I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for the existence of a soul to be able to get into something and travel this earth and experience. So when you're looking at that, do something for your body. That's one practice. That's one exercise for you to do. I'm grateful for this, so I'm going to treat it better. I'm going to treat it like it's worth something because I'm grateful for it. Okay? And isn't that what it's about? Treating something like it's worth something? You're grateful for your family. When's the last time you called them? When's the last time you picked up your mom and took her for a walk in the park and maybe got her a donut or an ice cream or dinner, or just went and sat on the front porch with her? Grateful for your children. Go play a game of Yahtzee. Grateful for your spouse. Wrap your arms around them when they're doing dishes and just give them a kiss on the neck and tell them thank you. Grateful for your dogs. Go play with them in the backyard. Wrestle with them on the couch, on the floor. There's so many things out there. We're coming to that time where school is going to be done for the semester, and if you're grateful for your teacher, that's a thankless job, isn't it? It really is a thankless job being a teacher. Send them a note. On the way out, the last day before break, holiday break, look at them in the eyes and say, thank you for all you've given me, because they've given you the world. They've given you their knowledge. They've given you their experience. They've given you every part of them as part of their soul. They've given you their passion. And tell them thank you for that. Being grateful is more than sitting around a table in front of a turkey and listing off what I'm grateful for. It's a way of life, guys. Being grateful is a way of life. It starts here, and then it comes out as an outward expression. Okay, it starts here. Because even when I brought up maybe a homeless person, there's still some part of them that says, I am going to sit out here and just ask for a dime or a nickel or change. And they're so grateful for that. They understand. But it starts somewhere in here. So start looking at that way of life. Start changing things for yourself. Start, motivating yourselves, and before the holidays, and keep it up after the holidays. Recognize those things in around people and everyday existence. Everyday existence. Even the flowers you walk by or the trees or whatever, because think about what that has to do just to grow every year. All the time. It's got to go through so much. Start being grateful for these things. Start recognizing these things. Start allowing your heart to be filled with the gratitude, just the joy, the passion. And above all, guys, recognize it. Recognize it in other people. Okay? Just recognize it. That can go so far. And trust me when I say when you start recognizing it in other people, you're really going to start recognizing it within yourself. Okay? Well, there's the end of my speech. This is DeEtte Renee with School Through Spirit on WLTK-DB. I'll be back in a few minutes after this break.
Looking to launch your new masterpiece? Then try something new with Moonbow Publishing and Production. At Moonbow, we have a strong desire to serve authors in a powerful and meaningful way. After all, you poured your heart and soul into your writing, and we fully understand and respect that. Remember this: you will own the copyright to your work. You will have the final say on your work before being published. Even after all of that, we've saved the best for last. We won't take a percentage sold. Nope, not a penny. Excited about MoonbowPublications.com yet? We thought so. Take advantage of our company's services like book editing, formatting, and covers, publishing, and photography. Moonbow Publishing and Productions has everything you are looking for in a company. Remember, we will not keep any commissions. We are a boutique publishing company focusing on spiritual, health and wellness, and personal growth genres. Moonbow Publications and Productions, a new kind of publishing company.
Hey, welcome back to School Through Spirit. This is DeEtte Renee here on School Through Spirit. WLTKTB. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was looking at one of the comments and I want to say good morning, Brenda. Excuse me. Thank you for listening to me while you're at work. I so appreciate that, and always listening every week, and everybody else out there that does. So I want to bring in Matt. Let's bring in Matthew. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good, DeEtte. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Everybody, this is Matthew Croft. Please say hi. This is just I telling people a little bit about you beforehand, little snippets. Because as I talked to you before, this is really my week of being grateful. Grateful, thankful Thanksgiving, the type of thing.
Right.
And every time I think about that word, being thankful, I don't know why I think about you. I really do. And since the day I first met you, and my fears, my nervousness, because we both know where I was at in life. And if everybody doesn't know, I was in my master teacher training, and Matthew was one of my first students, and I was scared to death. And you've taught me so much about gratitude since then. Just watching your life.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
Right back at you. And there's this wonderful, colorful sort of globe thing. I don't know if it's a part of your setup, but it's really cool looking. But I'm fogging over. So
I hope it's not. I hope it's me. Not. But if it's my setup, I'll take it.
it looks like it might be some sort of like halogenic logo type thing. It's like an aqua colored sphere. I love it though.
That is the background. That's the station's logo behind us.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Yeah, that's part of that. So
I thought it was your aura at first, which
I will
can
take
also
it.
see.
Yeah, if this is my aura, I would take it in a heartbeat. So can you tell people about you? Just about you, a little bit about your journey, how you got here.
Sure.
Those amazing portraits behind you.
I wasn't even sure if there was going to be a video element to this, so I scrambled mightily to do my little setup, and I keep fogging over, so I don't know what that's about. But what can I tell you? It's I came to psychic mediumship kind of late in life in a way. I really had no acute awareness that this was going to become such a central focus for me, but it all started we started watching Lisa Williams' show on Lifetime. I think she had two different shows.
She did.
But,
yeah.
There was the main one, Lisa Williams' My Life Among the Dead, and I'd always had, a great interest in spirituality and psychic stuff and mediumship. I watched the show Medium on TV, and when I discovered, just to make a long story short, when I discovered that Lisa was doing live shows in conjunction with the TV show, and then beginning to kind of tour the world, it really appealed to me, and I started attending them. And I don't know if it's the New York City market, but no one ever really like does an actual show in New York City that I'm aware of. So they were always in New Jersey or in Westchester County, and which I was fine to go to. But I think I had one of my first mediumistic experiences when I attended that first show. I think it was at the Red Bank Theater in New Jersey, and I saw and heard people in spirit during the show, and it was very sort of short-lived. But if you want, I can tell you a funny little story.
I want to hear it. Yes.
Okay.
Please
All
do.
right.
Because people are relating to you right now. Trust me.
Okay. Awesome. So watching the show, it was incredible. She used to have a setup where she would have a camera at the back of, or a roving camera operated by a guy,
Okay.
and he would go around the audience and film a close-up of whoever Lisa was reading,
Okay.
and there was a video screen at the back of the stage, so the entire audience, which was very large in a lot of these spaces, could see the sort of intimate interaction. So Lisa would talk to the people in the audience, and she would go to them, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or sometimes she'd do it from the stage. They kind of changed the format around over the years, but
Right.
I'm butchering this story.
No,
But
you're doing good. You did it because I think people
so
have got the same experiences there.
exactly. So well, let me say this. She gave several readings, and one of them on this particular occasion was a very intense reading with a woman who had lost her son at a very young age.
Okay.
And he was her only child, and Lisa was connecting through a locket that the woman wore around her neck that had his photo in it, and it was just a very intimate, very meaningful, and very obviously emotional or emotionally charged reading. And I kept hearing all of these people in the audience going, and just like having these little conversations with themselves. And I thought, this is so horrible. Like, you know, I really wanted to be quite vulgar, and but I was seated like center orchestra, and I didn't want to make a scene,
Right.
but I just couldn't believe how rude people were being. It went on for several minutes, and Lisa finished the reading, then she finished the show, and we went to dinner afterwards down the street, and I asked my friend, I was like, can you believe those rude people during the show who wouldn't shut the fuck up, essentially?
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh, I hear dead people.
You hear dead people.
So it just was a huge sort of epiphany, and it was kind of comical because Lisa would always explain kind of to the audience, how it worked, and give like a quick 101 on mediumship and how she conducts her readings. And she had mentioned too that very often spirit will gather sort of behind her, I think to the right,
Yep.
And they're all like clamoring, like, hi, me, like, pick
Yeah.
me, like, I want to come forward. And that's what had happened, in fact. And I realized this suddenly, was that it was kind of spirit noise, if you will, of them they were all excited and wanting to come forward. So it wasn't actually people in the audience like being rude, like, and so
Good thing
I
you
thought
didn't get up and start yelling at people, huh?
exactly because I was this close, I tell you. And I really do hate shushers in audiences, but in that moment it felt really warranted. I had such a compassion for this woman and her story, and
Right.
I mean, it was heartbreaking and moving and so many things, but
Right.
um, yeah, so that's how I sort of acutely discovered, like, oh, like I have some, abilities or uh, some openness, some awareness of something in a different realm. So that's how I kind of that door kind of got kicked open that day, and I didn't immediately pursue something, but
Right.
it began the path, if you will.
It began and it sounds like a pretty good path to start with,
Yes.
It really does. I mean, that's, like, in your face, like because like, for myself, I started when I was really young, but I didn't see spirit. I didn't necessarily hear spirit. I just knew there was things in the dark that I was scared of, you know? So I think for myself, I think I would have preferred going, "Oh, what? Dead people, I got this."
Right.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
it's funny too because it's I always say this, but spirit in general is very fluid, and I think that we're often trying to apply linear thinking and linear logic to something that sort of defies that inherently, and and it's about reminding ourselves once we're especially doing the work um, of the need to tap into the fluidity
Yeah.
um, and sort of accept that as the methodology that spirit likes to use
Right.
is how I look at it. So
So how did that change your life then? How did that moment in time really change your life?
that's a great question. I mean it had sort of an immediate impact in terms of opening my eyes, but I think that it started a trajectory or a path where I was actually going to tap into some of those things that I was feeling intuitively and sort of organically in those moments. Because I'd had a smattering of them in earlier years, and I always, say this that I knew I was psychic from a very young age, even before I knew what that word meant. And I was obsessed with everything to do with psychics. And so I would go to the library and devour books on the
Right.
topic and do the little silly little tests that they had with, like, can you tell this woman's, favorite color? And um,
Were you right?
um, um, actually, on that one, I wasn't, and I remember being so frustrated because I'm like, I know that I should know this woman's favorite color, and it was yellow. Um, because they reveal the answers like in later pages. But
Isn't it
yeah,
great that you remember the ones you don't hit, but the ones you do, it's like they're
exactly,
gone.
exactly, and isn't that telling for like how so many of us spiritually beat ourselves up
Right.
and demand perfection. So,
Right.
but to finish answering your question, it created a sort of a journey and a path, and I think that um, that that coincide not coincided it culminated in actually doing a Lisa Williams workshop
Wow.
at Omega Institute. So and again I entered that very naively and very in a very childlike fashion, I should say, because it was a 4-day workshop. It was super intense, but I had no idea. I thought literally like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to learn a little bit of the history of mediumship and, listen to, Lisa's lectures and, we'll probably do some exercises and maybe like dabble in what it's like to, give a reading here or there. And, and then maybe I'll get a reading from Lisa. And by the second day, it was very obvious that I had, gotten a lot more than I bargained for. We were, delving into giving actual readings and doing tons of exercises. And even from the first night when we gathered to sort of meet and begin the course, I
It's
was
no joke.
having it was incredible. So by the third day, I was giving what I call like the best reading of my life. It was the most pure, organic. We were all seated in a circle. There were about 40 odd people in this class too, and we were in this wonderful building called the Pavilion at Omega Institute, and we were all holding hands. And I remember I had my eyes closed this entire time. And fast forward to now, like I don't do nearly as much eye closed
Right.
mediumship or readings, but at the time, since I was just
Right. Your eyes like this, like I gotta shut my eyes to see. It's like, how can you see with your eyes shut?
exactly. And the paradox is that you can, and
Right.
there's a rich tapestry of visual feasting that can occur in that state, but there's also, you discover a great freedom in having your eyes open and being able to have that connection with your sitter, and also you can see in the spirit world at the same time, in your
Right.
mind's eye and your heart's eye, and as I like to
Yeah.
call it. So it ended up being this. I felt as we were seated in the circle, I kept saying a bunch of people read people across the circle, so it was people in totally different sections of the room, and I ended up going last, which is kind of a thing I like for some reason, letting everyone go, and then I don't know if it has to do with my performing arts background, but I kind of like being a closer, or the final
No, I
act.
get it. I'm the same way. Don't worry. I either want to be the very first or the very last. I don't want to be anywhere in between.
Exactly. And maybe it's a byproduct of being a middle child, and having some like deep-seated resentment about that. I don't know. But suffice to say that I knew somebody was coming forward, and to make a long story short, I was like, my hands are burning, my hands are on fire, my hands are burning, my hands are on fire. And so it was kind of what I would discover to be, spirit energy and also Reiki energy, even though I hadn't yet delved into giving Reiki and becoming a practitioner. But I definitely had this acute sense of everything being on fire in my hands, and it wasn't scary. I don't mean anything like that, but
Right.
when the spirit stepped forward, the first thing he did was say, "Michael," and the woman right next to me was immediately like, on my right hand side, was like, "That's for me." She knew immediately who it was, just from the name, and it was for her. And then he began to describe himself physically, and gave me all of these pieces of evidence. And I won't give you the whole story, but
Right.
everything was, completely accurate, and I was just flowing and, giving everything that came to me. And I always cite this when I'm talking to people about when they're approaching their own, mediumship journey, and their education. That sometimes it's that very beginning reading, or a very first reading, where you have that sense of purity and just a pure connection, and you're not judging yourself or anything that you're getting, and you just give it. And I'm like, why is it like my very first one is like the best reading I've ever given? But it was pretty hilarious too, because like this giant poodle appeared, and it was his dog, and she appeared like human size, and yeah, and she had like this huge personality, and so I'm just like, I'm seeing this poodle, and she's enormous, and she's a big personality. personality. And she's like, yeah, that's his dog. And so I like to tell that story just because it reminds everyone, present company included, but anyone listening, that we all have access to this in our own individual ways. And sometimes the act of giving over and approaching something with no judgment and just a sense of purity really frees us up to connect in a powerful way. So
It does.
what was your first experience that
My
I know you
first
mentioned
experience,
childhood, but
oh my God. Well, as a child, I will tell you, as a child, yeah, I've had this my whole life. Um, and I would have to actually break mine up into different areas because as a child, I knew spirit. I knew they were there. I didn't know, it was almost like the boogeyman. You know something's there. You could feel it. It's there, but you've got nothing tangible. And then it went on to, I started in dreams, and I actually had a grandmother come. And I think I told this story to at least the viewers before, but I had a grandmother that came in a dream. And, this is back in the day where and I think you recognize this, when you had to be 13 to go up into a hospital, you know what I mean? And you're like, I was 9. So I never knew what a hospital looked like. And she walked me through the hospital because she was there and told me all about spirit and life and death and the souls and heaven and all this wonderful stuff. And and I wasn't listening to her. I was 9 years old. I was looking at this hospital she was walking me through, like, I'm looking indoors. So we got to the last room and she opened it up and there was this old lady in a bed and the lady had tubes and hoses, which now I know were IVs and oxygen. And she literally said, DeEtte, who is that? And I looked at the lady and I went, Grandma, that's you. And she goes, but who am I? And I can remember clearly looking at her going, I'm confused. Like, how can there be 2 of you? And that's when she told me the difference between a soul and a body. And she told me that her body wasn't working anymore and that her soul was leaving it and that I wasn't to be afraid because I was going to talk to souls the rest of my life. Like that was something I was going to do.
wow.
And I can remember not being afraid and not, like, oh, okay, I'm going to talk to, because I didn't register as dead people. I was just going to talk to these souls outside of bodies and not a big deal. And I woke up and told my mom Grandma had died, and she told me, no, she didn't. And a few minutes later, 10 minutes later, she got a call that Grandma had died. So that was really my first experience with it. But when it came to doing a reading, that didn't happen for many years. I was in my early 40s because I delved in this, I practiced with that. I was a witchy woo of everything, no expert of nothing. I own more pendulums and Ouija boards and oracle cards and you name it, I got it. Ruins, I numerology, it's all over the place.
Right.
But always terrified to do anything myself because I would say, that's not me. That's not me. No, not me. You know what I mean? I'll be the psychic drummer. I'm not the psychic. But I'd taken a class. And I'm a person that follows spirit. I was one of those, prove it to me, prove it to me, prove it to me.
Right.
So a lady that got to be a friend over time, Lillian, she had posted on Facebook saying, I'm offering my first class for psychic mediumship. First 15 people get into it. It's free. It's my first one. And a group of 20,000 plus people. And I put my name in there thinking, I said, well, you know what? This is true. And this is me. She'll pick me. And I got picked. And I went, okay. And we did a lot of exercises, but the first reading I had to do for somebody outside of the class, I'll never forget it because, she set it up. And I was in Hayward, Wisconsin, really bad reception. So I had to go out to the middle of the driveway. It was cold. It was snowing. It was just frigid. And I was shaking. And I don't know if it was fear or the cold, but I can remember pacing back and forth and going, I got this woman. Oh my God. I feel she's schizophrenic. Oh my God. I can taste these meds. I'm going, num, 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 num. I'm like, my face was doing the posturing of somebody with a lot of psych meds that have been long-term. And everything was going through my head and the voices and all this. And I was just as fast as I could. And I gave what should have been a 45-minute reading in 5 minutes because I talked so fast. Like,
Right.
"Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Thank you very much for da-da-da, bye." And I hung up. I was like, "I can't
Wow.
do this." And the response I got from that was, "Oh my God," right down to the exact medications her sister was on. And I could taste the meds in my mouth. And I knew it was going on because I blended with this spirit. So my first
Mm,
reading was a blend, was come on into my space and let's join. So
right.
for me, that first, oh my God moment. But then I did probably close to 3,000 free readings after that and had absolutely no faith in myself at all.
Right.
None.
Well,
So,
it's kind of a parallel situation because you had that initial sort of sense of purity where
yeah.
you just were flowing and you were flowing at this very rapid pace. So it's like you didn't have time to judge or
Mm-mm.
even like analyze any of it. You just gave it and
Yeah.
it ended up just being, one hit after another at, a
Mhm.
highly accelerated pace. And I think that's when our humanity, kicks in during subsequent readings, and that's when I would say, self-sabotage is a common
Yeah. It's
theme.
huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's huge. So when did you start getting faith in yourself? Faith in this is what you can do. Like this wasn't a one hit wonder. This wasn't I show up to a workshop and I'm good there, but I'm not so good at home. Because we all have
Right.
that. We show up to a workshop, it's like, yoo-hoo, this is my life. You go home, it's like, eh.
um, I,
I'm a
I
weekend wonder.
no, and I think it's such a common sort of epidemic, if you will, that it's always easier to do the negative things. It's always easier to hate. It's always easier to be angry. It's always easier to self doubt. It's always easier to self sabotage, and we get entrenched in these patterns in our lives. And this doesn't pertain to mediumship or psychic stuff. I mean, it's across the board in every sort of category of our lives. And I think that this is more heightened because of the nature of it. So when you are being self-flagellating or self-disrespecting or self whatever the case may be, I think it's amplified, and so that can make it kind of turn into turmoil, and people really can do a number on themselves. I'm sort of an interesting hybrid of, um, you know, being very confident and having natural stage presence, and then also having, and being extroverted and social, and then having my, shy and quiet and, introspective and other side. And, sometimes we have to get comfortable with blending those, and then that makes us more comfortable blending with spirit. But it was that same workshop to answer your question. I um, That was more of an in-depth epiphany where I was like, I at least it was hilarious, and I actually met her now husband Chris.
Aren't they amazing? I love them both.
Yeah. Oh my God. And and he's such an interesting sort of figure, and I won't delve too much into that, but it's military background, just a very different, highly skeptical, like, and just to
Yeah,
see that
healthy,
that
normal person. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
unlike the rest of us, and and it was absolutely lovely and charming. I met him after class one day. I don't know if it was the second or third day, um, and Lisa introduced me, and she joked like, "Oh, you know, are you trying to take my job?" Because she was so impressed with the reading I had given. And I thought it was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard. I'm like, you're like this world renowned, like world traveler of mediumship, and like, why are you like complimenting me on this level? Like, and of course I took it. I was like, yay! But it just struck me as just so patently absurd. But I mean, she was right in the sense that like I had given some just amazing readings, and what was actually it's just striking me now too. Um, I've seen her do, and other mediums do, um, dual links, I think they're
Mhm.
called,
Yeah.
and um, and I think that she and I had done some of that sort of organically without labeling it as such, because it's now just striking me as I recall that workshop. There were some, and this is why it was so obvious too. And I have to go off on this little tangent for a second. This is why it was so obvious to me that mediumship is real, that people in spirit is real, because there were people who were coming through for me in like little breakout groups and exercises and mini readings and focused readings, and then later on, Lisa would connect with the same exact spirit, and then often go into some more detail, um, and it just, yeah, really, I think it's true, that that's how spirit works. Like, they can come forward for multiple
Mhm.
mediums, and they can do it simultaneously sometimes, or within the same, like workshop or class,
Right.
or hour.
Yeah.
So it really, like, it enlightened me in that moment. I was like, this is really um, very real, and we all have access to it, and it's about opening myself, um, and that's the way to go in.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does to me. Yeah, it does, because it sounds like, you know, I like how you were able to get that all in one, kind of like those great readings, and start to have great trust about this all at the same time. You know what I mean? Like bringing that together. Because I like for myself, it years apart. You know, years apart. I will tell you what, I was certified, and then I was a master teacher way before I started to get that confidence within myself. Does
Hmm.
that, I don't know if that makes sense for you, because I was a person that was 2 by 4 therapy. I mean, like here, boom, boom, boom. Like, it was bad, and now, and I'll even tell you now, I still get nervous, but the difference is now I walk in going, okay, I just gotta, I gotta check out at the door, and let spirit check in as I'm walking through, you know? So I
I mean,
love
I
the fact that
picked
you
up
have
on
that,
that.
you
I'm sorry, go
know?
ahead.
I love the fact that you have that inner confidence, and we're able to get that, you know? I've always been just a thicker person to go, somebody could look at me and go, "Oh my god, you're doing a great job," and I'd be like, "No, I'm not. Mm-mm, not me." You know, because that's always been my nature to, as much as I tend to be in the spotlight, or like my daughter will say I stand out in a crowd. I mean, I do. And as much as that is, I'm also the person that says, "Don't look at me." You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like
Right.
this. It's
You
that
have
type.
that duality, that same thing that
I
I was
do.
talking about,
I
and
do. So that praise, or that you did a good job, or this is you, was hard for me to come by. It was hard
right.
for me to come by. So, that belief
Interesting.
in yourself. So,
Yeah, I mean, I picked up on that, if you will. When I first met you, I mean, obviously we had corresponded, so I had a
we did
sense.
for like 4 months, yes, before we actually
Yeah.
met.
But I feel like in person, there was that sense of there's this immediacy with you, and there's a presence, and like you can feel the deepness and the deep connection. But there's also this other element, and I don't mean to put you on the spot
No,
with this,
go
but
ahead.
of I don't know if insecurity really is quite the right word, but it's just sort of a self-doubting thing that would kind of like trickle in here and there. So I could feel them both simultaneously, and I relate to that though, because it's the same sort of paradox that I have for myself, in that having like this great confidence on the one hand, but also um, a well-established track record of self-sabotage. I mean,
Yeah,
I have been my own worst enemy on so many occasions in so many different arenas. So,
yeah,
I would never, just like flat out judge someone for that, but I definitely can have the ability to witness or bear witness to that when I meet somebody. And it's very natural, and I think it's
Yes.
also very natural for people in the healing arts and mediumship, because of a one sort of universal truth that I experience is that a lot of mediums are really trying to heal themselves.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us come from backgrounds that are fraught with abuse or very negative experiences.
Yep. There's always something there. Yeah. Yep.
And
No, and I get it, because I think that becomes a lot of our personality. I don't know about you. I had the great joy of spending a year with Lisa after the fact in a mentorship just to heal my life. So
oh, good.
I had a beautiful time of doing that. So, and for myself, it's actually helped tremendously because of that healing aspect of then going, wait a second, I need to heal. I need to make that a library and not a reality, if that makes sense. Like to say, hey, I've had this life, but heal from it and literally make it into that library for spirit to use. And I have used every tool at my means, where before I used to run like, oh my God, no, I don't want to deal with, I already lived it. I don't want to deal with it,
Right.
And now I'm like, nope, right down to let's get hypnotized. You know what I mean? Let's begin. And I've been doing that more recently. Like, hey, I've done a ton of healing. I am done with these blocks. Let's look at it. Let's tear into it. Let's dig deep. And people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm ready. I'm ready to say, I'm done. Let's go forward. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's a healing. We have to heal. We have to, and it takes that self-doubt and it puts it on a back shelf to say, you know what, you fit in a great jar. I will bring you out when I need to, but right now you got a special dusty spot on the shelf. Keep gathering your dust.
I have many dusty spots in a New York City apartment.
I don't think so.
Just
Can
happen
I
to.
tell you? That I teach all the time now, all the time. It's a passion. I love it. Not something I ever thought I would do. But I have a dirty little secret that I use you with all the time. I do. And I do in my beginners. I do in my beginners.
Pins and needles.
This is it. This is it. Because you know as well as I do, and this is something me and you talked about, and how am I going to do this, was sacred space. You know how we tell our beginners, find your space. This is your boundaries. This is when you are in that space. Leave me the hell alone. To the regular blood-filled people in spirit, I'm ready to work. And people tell me I don't have a space. I don't have this. And I go, let me tell you about my very first student. He lives in a New York flat, a very small space with his husband, 2 cats, and a lot of artwork. And this man took a yoga mat out, would put it down, add some crystals, and call it his sacred space. And when he was done, he would put his crystals away, roll up his yoga mat, and go on with his life. So don't tell me you can't find a sacred space.
I love it.
Look at me, and I'm like, I don't care if it's your dinner room table, just move over one spot. You know what I mean? And they just look at me, and I utilize you in that, because it stuck with me of going, there's no excuses in this work. There's no, if you want to, it's there. You know what I mean? And to me, that has always stuck with me, always. And it is my guilty little secret. I still use that.
No, have at it. I love it.
I don't use your name. Well, now that the world knows I use you, so yes, it's Matt. It's Matt.
No, you can use my name. Put all of it out there, except now you're going to have to addend it's now 3 cats in the Yoga Cat studio. So
it's 3 cats. But yeah, I would tell, if he can find a space, and trust me, they're like, well, how do you know? I said, because he took pictures. He took pictures and sent them to show me I have my space.
That's right, I did.
You did. Brenda says, I'm relating so much to the self-doubt. I am so glad because people do relate to these stories. You know what I mean? So I want to go to something you do, and it's
Sure.
your selfie realness. How did you start that? Why did you start that? I love that journey. To me, I watched that journey. I'm like, yes.
Well, here's what I would say. The way back in the the beginning of time,
You're not that
I
old.
was
You're not that old.
I was swimming at the gym, and there was a woman who we would do workouts together, and she actually lived in the same neighborhood that I do now. And long story short, she was going on one day in between sets about this thing called Facebook, and like, oh my God, you have to do it. Oh, it's great. And I instinctively was like, nope, 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 not interested. That sounds horrible. Like, absolutely not. And finally, like months and months later, I caved, and I was like, fine, let me just create this stupid account. And like, I had a little profile picture of my first cat, Oscar, instead of my face. So at the very beginning, I was like this, like
Right?
no. And then what I discovered, and I have lots of mixed feelings about Facebook, and we can get into that another time, but like algorithms and destructive things that I think that they've done. So I really have mixed feelings, but it developed in sort of into I don't know, like a blog. I would use it as an informal blog. I would write pieces and put them in, I don't know, like it's not a folder, but like you have a section for like stories or something,
Yeah.
things that you write. So I did that. And then I did, I am an avid photographer.
I
So
know you are. I love your
that,
pictures. I love
thank
your
you.
pictures. I was telling people
Um,
before you came in, I'm like, I don't know if he uses a camera or his phone, but to look through that lens is amazing.
It's the phone. And what happened was I luckily I've been with like Sprint for years and years, and now it's T-Mobile, but they, for whatever reason, had like certain phones that had really good cameras, and I just happened to luck upon selecting a phone that I thought had a really good camera, and that kind of began this whole odyssey of chronicling everything through photographs. But I didn't want to do it in a completely self-indulgent way, and
Right.
I'm sure that I am self-indulgent at times with it,
You
but
are. Yeah.
it's kind of it's natural sort of evolution.
Mhm.
It's part of the package, if you will. And but I was terrible at selfies originally. Like when it came out as a thing, I was like, I I I botched them. I was like, this is horrible. Like, why are people doing this?
I
But
still do that.
you still have that mindset. I'm sure it's you're not alone. But for whatever reason, it just clicked one day because I guess I'm naturally artistic. So what I did with this particular phone, and I love to tell this story actually because I think it's kind of fascinating. But the cell phone enabled me to create a canvas
Mhm.
and a composition. And sometimes this would be in 1 second, 2 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, in extreme cases, like 10 seconds. But it was usually the 1 to 2 second range. And I would just, like in my mind's eye, and then with my literal eyes, I guess, I would create this canvas and the composition, and I'd click and I'd take the picture, and the result was just something really, beautiful or interesting,
Mm.
and so it began to steamroll. And so then the selfie thing clicked one day where I just was like, I should be really good at this. Like, and I did it, and I don't know what I did, but it came out really well. And then so I just, it sort of became a story. Like, here's
Right.
me, like in this. and it's also, there's like a healthy degree of self-mockery involved, because I think that, if I've learned anything through all of this, is that we really have to have a sense of humor and be able to laugh at ourselves and laugh with ourselves. And it's how spirit operates a lot of the time. So
Yeah.
they can be telling you the most, tragic, intimate details of their lives, and whether it's regrets or apologies or, illnesses, or the way they treated their kids or other people. And but they can have like an extreme sense of humor at the same time, and often do. And, spirit, I always say, and say this, but they love to, like, have fun and sort of, fuck with electronics and
They do. They
move
do.
things around and like give you like like messages like hello, I'm trying to connect with you, dummy. Like, so yeah, I think it's and even still to this day, DeEtte, like I will say, with complete and utter sincerity, there are still moments where I'm reflexively sort of rejecting spirit, because it just seems like so implausible in a way.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then I've gotten better at like, shifting into the acceptance mode.
Yeah.
And I'll use an example. Actually, this stuff isn't exactly selfie realness, but
No,
the
go on.
the other day, I work in a vet clinic, and as so many of us do in this field, or in New York City especially, you have to have other work in order to fill your squares.
Right.
And there's been a lot of interesting overlap working with animals and working with people and their animals,
Right.
that really dovetails beautifully with spirituality and healing arts and mediumship. But I was closing up the clinic. I was the only person there. I was leaning on the counter, and so I was standing, and I was waiting for my ride, and I had a Starbucks cup that was, had a little bit of the espresso in the bottom, so it
Right.
was mostly empty, and it just started moving towards my face, and I immediately thought that it was spirit. So that was an interesting change, because normally I think our linear, logical minds are like, oh, like there's condensation on the bottom of the cup, and I did sort of, fall into that a moment later. I was like, oh, there must be condensation on the bottom of the cup,
Right.
or like, oh, is this like, countertop like on an incline, and I just wasn't aware, like,
After all these years?
yeah, and but it wasn't. It's not like, and there, I checked, and I didn't really feel any condensation, but it was also just so methodical the way it was like going like
Right.
this, and it went to the edge of the counter, and like this much of the plastic cup was, hanging over, and it stopped. So spirit was like, I'm just going to get your attention. I'm going to move this towards your face, and then I'm going to stop it before it topples and spills onto the desk.
Yeah.
And I just thought this is so cool. Like, and so I posted just a photograph of it. But my phone, and this is the other part of the story that I'm dying to tell you, spirit messes with electronics all the time, and the phone will very frequently do things of its own accord. So my phone started taking, I don't even know what they're called, but they're not action shots, but they're prolonged photos. So they're
Yes.
like mini videos. And I was like, why is this phone doing this? Like, now? I didn't tap on anything or set it up. So, so there's some weird shift going on with the phone that's morphing from selfie realness into like shooting like little video clips, and I wonder if that experience like had something to do with it, because that's kind of how I experienced it. It was like, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds of just this methodical like cup moving
Yeah.
towards me. And what one thing I discovered too that really cemented this idea of spirit connecting through messing with devices, and cell phones is an obvious, means by which they can do this. Um, Several years ago, my phone was face down on the counter next to the kitchen, and I was sitting somewhere else in the room, and it just spontaneously started taking photographs. And they came out all black because it was face down, but
Right.
there was nothing pushing, a button or, doing this. And I was just like, what's wrong with the phone? Why, is it broken? Am I going to have to bring it back? Like, why is it this? And it like took me forever to realize that it was, my brother had just passed, and
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, it was 2013, and like it was him, and he has a huge sense of humor, so
There you
it's
go.
totally in keeping with his personality. But he he was like fucking with the phone and having it take picture after picture, and it was his way of like saying, "Hey, I'm here." Like, so I never forgot that. And so when we have these experiences in our lives, and I'm dying to hear an example of one of yours, but I think we just have to be open to that, and realize that it can be any like host of cast of characters who are trying to connect with us and
Right.
either send a message or just assert their presence, and and bring something into your life.
And they do, and they do. And it's so funny because as you're talking about yours in electronics, I'm thinking about gosh, it feels like it was so long ago, but it's only probably about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And my sister passed 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago now. And she was an avid like Journey fan, like
Right.
I mean, all music, don't get me wrong, but Journey, if she could have married Steve Perry, life would have been great. You know what I mean? Life
Right.
would have been perfect type of person. And she always uses that music to get my attention. So she uses different things here and there, but if I hear Journey, I know it's her. And
Right.
I was still nursing. And this is a Sunday, and I go in and they put me on the Alzheimer unit. And I'm like, great, long Sunday, not even a soul in the room or the unit, because anybody who knows Alzheimer's, they're not sticking with their body. You know what I mean? They got that cord, they're going to go off and enjoy their life, you know?
Right.
So there's nobody to talk to, either the physical or the non physical. And the unit clerk had a radio that she played Monday through Friday when she was working, but when she left for the day, she would always unplug it. So this thing was unplugged. And I'm having a conversation. One of my conversations, if you really want me to do this, you're going to do this, blah, 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 prove it to me, blah, all those conversations. Because I was really thinking about quitting my job, retiring nursing, all of that, but all the self-doubt was in my head, and I'm a prove it type of person, or I have been, I still am sometimes. And different songs of Journey started coming through that radio. Now it's unplugged, turned off, not able. And it was songs related answers to what I was asking. And I thought, this has got to be in my head. But people are going by going, is that thing ever going to stop playing Journey today? And I'm like, God, Jackie, come on,
Right.
And it wasn't, and it was funny because it wasn't continuous. It was literally every time I go do my job, I come back to the med card, I'm doing this, and I'm like fighting myself, and then it would play again. And I'll never forget, because literally it had come down to the end of the day, because I was doing a 16-hour shift. And
Right.
remember, I'm in an Alzheimer unit, okay?
Right.
And obviously I'm not listening. I'm fighting with her over these Journey songs coming through electronically, this and that. And finally, I'm like, you know what? If I am an effing medium, you're going to find some way other than that Journey to tell me, because Journey has no medium songs, and prove that one to me, It was basically what I said. The last person I had to give meds to at night, it's like 8:30 at night. I walk in to give her medicine, and she's watching the show The Medium.
Right.
Never heard of it before, whatever. She won't take her pills until, a break, a commercial. So I'm watching it with her. Comes to the break, and I go, so what are you watching? She goes, don't you know? And I said, no, never seen it. She goes, it's the medium. I said, oh, I've never heard of that. She goes, you are one. What? Take your pills, woman. I mean, plain as can be. Well, you are one. I'm like, fine, I'll listen to the radio.
But you are, Blanche. You are a medium. You're always going to be.
Always going to be. And that was my, like, really the big of me walking away from my nursing, because I literally was working at least 3 16-hour shifts a week, if not more, and still doing events on the weekend, still doing all this. I was actively, I mean, half and half, because I was full-time medium, full-time nurse. But that was the beginning of the end of my nursing career, to say, hey, it's time to walk away. It's time to accept who you are. And it was through electronics, and it was from those avenues that there's really not going to be a message that Spirit says we're going to use it. We're going to use it because you can't deny this.
And music is huge too, for so many people. I think it connects people on a visceral, sort of emotional level. It's so easy to find meaning in a lyric or an entire song or an artist, and I love that story. I think it's so true for so many people, and you don't even have to be a medium to have that sort of awareness and openness. Like it can benefit so many people. People who are perhaps getting readings from a medium. It's like they sometimes that opens them up to having that awareness in their day-to-day lives of when Spirit is paying a visit. I mean, the Spirit coins is another huge sort of thing that has been talked about for a long time, and it's very true for me. It's almost comical at this point, like and I get dimes a fair amount too. And
Yeah, you know what's funny about coins? This is an interesting story, because I've always been an ad for find a penny, pick it up all day long, you have good luck. It's in my head, blah blah blah. I don't pay attention much to dimes, nickels, quarters, dollars. It's just the whole penny thing in my head. But every time I have a question, should I or shouldn't I do something? And I know this is my dad. I know this is my dad because it's his sense of humor. I will almost immediately get out of my car, look down, and there will be 2 pennies. One tails, one head pointing up at me, and I'll hear 50-50 chance. And I'm always like, smart ass. Is that like your way of just say, do it? just do it?
Yep. I mean, they can be quite, I don't know if caustic is the word, but they can, it's very humorous, but it's also shit or get off the pot. Like,
that's what
come
my
on.
family really is. My family is either very doting and very quiet and very introverted, or they're loud and in your face. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't wait to see what I'm going to be when I die, because I don't know which. And if it's in your face, you're in trouble, because everybody's doing everything. I
was totally thinking about this recently. I'm like, what kind of would I harass mediums and be like, hi, it's me again? I'm gonna give you a sign. I don't know. I'm gonna be a huge pain in the ass, probably. So.
I think that's what I'm gonna be, because literally, I'm this big one. When people go, oh, I don't know if I should do this or if I should do that, I look at them and go, okay, listen to me, guys. I was a nurse. I had a guaranteed job. I switched that up to talk to dead people and become a success at that. So if I can switch that up to talking to dead people, you can do anything. Selling hot dogs is tangible. Go do it. So I think when I'm dead, I'm going to be like the poking you in the, do it.
Yep. It's a fascinating sort of thing to consider. I still feel like I have a lot of stuff to do here, but I like the idea that there's this continuation, and that you can, I guess it's a circle of life type of thing. Like, you can end up having an impact on people here. And I think what is sort of unique to our situation is that we have an early insight into this by doing this work. So, and that benefits us here while we're alive, but it'll also benefit us in the future when we're in the afterlife, and
Right.
And fostering those connections between people in the spirit world. I think it's an invaluable sort of skill, but or activity. I don't know. My vocabulary is escaping me right now, but
Okay. It's because you're talking to me and I don't have a huge vocabulary.
let me ask you about that, actually, because I periodically people will be like, wow, your vocabulary, and I love language. I love words. I love using them to express whether it's spirit or myself. But what is your take on that? I've been told by certain teachers, like, you have to boil it down and simplify, and not overwhelm people with your vocabulary. But it feels so natural for me to use that vocabulary. What is your professional opinion?
My take on that is it's very simple, and I explain this to people all the time. Spirit, number one, we work for spirit. God bless every client I have, and I tell every my client, I love you dearly, but it is your loved one on the other side that has found me. Your loved one has said, I need to talk to this person, and it went around all over the place to find who it wanted to speak through or would speak the best for them. So if I get a lot of loved ones on the other side that cuss and swear, and I think it's because I do have a mouth of a sailor, and I have no filter. I literally have no filter. It's like whatever comes out, here you go, and I'll apologize for it later, unless I have a none, and then I'm going, oh, he's got colorful words. So what my way of looking at it is when you have spirit coming to pick you, they're picking you on everything that you are, your vocabulary, your everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
But since you do have such a vast knowledge of, the encyclopedia, of words, you also have the ability to say, okay, I'm hearing this, but I know you're feeling the person in front of you going, I don't think they're going to understand the words, but I'm going to say the words because this is what your loved one is saying. But as you're saying this, I know for some reason you're not quite understanding, but I don't think you quite understood them when they were here either. So I'm going to say what he's saying, but then I'm going to make it make sense for both of us.
Right.
And I'm going to switch the pages a few to use, 6-letter words versus 13-letter words. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's my take on it, to say, you know what, if spirit is using those words, they're going to use those words. I've said things and went, I don't even know what that means.
Right.
What language are you speaking?
Right.
And the person's like, oh my God, that was so my dad, or that was my husband, or, because you really can't make it up. So I don't think, the only thing I think would be was more of a psychic level. And then again, you're going to have clients that come to you that are drawn to that energy. And you are a person that's very well spoken. So of course they're going to come to you. And you've got more than enough intelligence that, hey, if they're not making sense of it, you'll go, okay, I'll dumb it down a little bit. I mean, you're not going to say that verbally, but in your head, like, yeah, I was a person that didn't know all those words too at one point.
Exactly. And,
So
and I think
why hide your charm? Why hide that part of you when it is you?
Yep. Also, you sort of bring out this interesting sort of concept, is that I've discovered, even more especially recently, that the healing nature of sound to begin with, and I play singing bowls, and I usually will start my readings now by playing the singing bowl and sort of like connecting. Yeah, and it ends up being very sort of special, and and it feels great, and it's such a deep connection to spirit for me. But I was giving a Reiki treatment to a friend recently, and I at some point began chanting as part of the treatment, and so I was using my voice to make sounds and to provide healing in addition to the Reiki through my hands, and I think that people really respond to this, and it's kind of fascinating because I I just whatever sounds or words or come out, I just let them come out, and so in a way it sounds like nonsense. But I remember I was chanting just something like "No me, no me, no me, no me, no me, no me, no me," and if you break it down, there's the word no, and there's the word me, and I felt that there was some sort of message for her in that. About knowing me, and then maybe knowing herself, and then maybe knowing spirit, and so you can kind of exponentially go a lot of great places with it. But I think just giving over to what you get, as you were mentioning, is very important, and can really illuminate a tremendous amount.
That's huge. I love that. Well, Matthew, how can people find you? How can people find you? I want people to find you. I want everybody to find you.
I'm a social media whore. You'll have
I
no
know
problem.
you are now. I mean, trust me, guys. As much as he says he doesn't like Facebook, one of my biggest tasks was to get him off some of his pages.
And I will say this in parting too. I highly recommend like social media cleanses, I guess we can call them. I did it in the lead up to the in-person workshop in Lilydale for the certification, where you were the master teacher. I really reveled in that 5 weeks. Like I tapered myself down over the month, and then I was at like 80%, and then 5 weeks I went off of it completely. I didn't watch TV, movies, and I fucking loved it.
I was gonna say it was hard to get you to that point. You're like, but I'm being better. I only got at him 5 times today. But how long were those 5 times? We're not talking about how long they were. There was only 5 of them.
Yep. And then to successfully have like gone for 5 weeks without any. I was literally repulsed by my cell phone. I mean, I brought it with me obviously because I need it, but like when I would not bring it into the church and the workshop rooms, and I remember like tossing it a few times like on the bed, and then the only exception of course was photography. That's an exception for me because that's like me connecting with the world around me through that, and it's an art form for me, so I didn't have an issue with that. But technology and devices, when I'm doing this work, like I really do kind of have an aversion. So I might do another like social media, like electronics, like thing, cleanse at some point. But my website is MatthewCroftLewis.com. So it's just my name. And I'm on Instagram. It's the same thing. Matthew Croft Lewis is my handle for that. My Facebook page is Matthew Croft Lewis. So it's pretty basic. I tried to keep everything with those names, and I remember I had a conversation with you and Deb and Lisa, I think, or maybe I don't know if it was Deb and Lisa, but about like choosing my professional name. And the reason I settled on, like, people can call me Matt, they can call me whatever, and I'll be fine. But as long as you call me. But I settled with Matthew Croft Lewis because it was distinctive, and if you Google Matt Lewis, there are thousands of us like all over the place. So I wanted something that would allow people to like find me more readily. And then the name Croft has to do with my father's mother was her maiden name, and so it's a family name. And he has the same middle name as me, my dad, and it was just kind of a cool, like she's on my team of spiritual peeps. So it was a natural sort of selection, if you will, and that's why. So those are my things.
I love that. Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming on and joining me today because I know you had to
Absolutely.
rearrange your work schedule, and I'm so thrilled you did. I'm
No,
so
I
thrilled.
was. It was absolutely my pleasure. I'm so excited to have, got to connect with you this
Oh,
way. I'm not a morning person. I
yeah,
have a bit of allergy face, but just talking to you is like has been so refreshing. So
I love it. I get the allergy face because I tell everybody it's just a Monday morning sneeze fest in front of my calendar, like,
yeah,
but it is what it is, and they just laugh
yep.
at me. It's
You
good.
just have to
Everybody,
live through it.
I live through it. It's life. So now that snow is coming, you know what? I'll be better. So,
Oh my God, I don't want to talk about no snow. No. Anthony Baraka's obsessed with snow, and I'm like always teasing him, like 'cause I'm like a summer boy through and through, and I'm just like, why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we live in Wisconsin or New York or I went to school in Minnesota, by the way.
oh wow,
So
because it's
yeah.
beautiful and the seasons are amazing and it's fresh and clean. And it's a great time to hibernate and think about what you're gonna do this spring. Come on, folks, really.
Oh my
That's what
God,
you
that's a
should know.
very positive outlook.
I'm very grateful for my seasons and my
No,
wildlife
it's
season
true.
fires.
It's true. You enjoy the summer that much more when you've
I
been tortured
do,
over the
I
winter.
do. I enjoy my seasons, and people don't. I mean, Brad, you come March and it's still snowing, sucky. I'm gonna be like, okay, I want spring, but right now I want my snow. I want my snow. I won't
All
lie, I want
right.
snow. I love my
Well,
fires. I'm already up. I buy brand new blankets every year because they got to be warm and fuzzy. I get
right.
brand new fuzzy socks, everything because you know what? 'Tis the season of hot chocolate, hot tea, and fuzzy things.
You make it sound so appealing and
It
wonderful.
is.
How do you do
It is.
that?
Well,
No, I
thank
do
you.
like tea. I like
There you
comfy
go.
things and
I'll have to
tea.
come
Or
to New York. We'll sit on your balcony with fuzzy blankets and tea.
yes.
There
Okay,
we
that's a
go.
deal.
Because
That is a deal.
I have decided that when you said at the very beginning, I'm going to say it now. I'm going to be the first medium to have a show in New York. Big. There we go. I'm making goals.
All right, I will rise to that
And
challenge
I'm going to
and
sit on, and we're going to sit on your balcony and talk about it and be grateful.
exactly, and we'll commune with the icicles and dine al fresco
There you
and
go. And watch the kites
philosophize
come down over the bridge.
over the icebergs floating down the East River.
We'll take selfies going, look at us. Right before we head inside where it's warm. Thank you so much,
Oh
Matthew.
my
I
God, you're
appreciate you.
welcome.
I am so grateful for you. Thank you, darling. You have a beautiful day,
Thank you,
okay?
DeEtte.
And thank you, everybody. This is DeEtte Renee with School Through Spirit. I'll be back in a few minutes with your weekly reading.
Meet Nicole Strickland, one of the leading San Diego paranormal researchers. Nicole offers a gentle and humble approach to working with spirit energies. Being the founder of the San Diego Paranormal Research Society, Nicole is no stranger to the unknown. Due to Nicole's vast knowledge of the paranormal, she is widely sought after for speaking engagements on topics like Children of the Paranormal, Paranormal Investigation 101 and 102, history of spiritualism, and more. Not only does Nicole research the afterlife, but also writes about it, and is the author of several books pertaining to the paranormal and its history. She has appeared on television shows like My Ghost Story, Travel Channel's Famously Afraid, Good Morning San Diego, and more. Have a conference or event coming up? Contact Nicole on her website, authornicolestrickland.com. That's authornicolestrickland.com.
Hey, welcome back to School Through Spirit. I'm DeEtte Renee, your host here. I've been talking to Matthew Croft Lewis all morning, and it has been such a joy just to reconnect and talk with him and bring through his story and his thoughts and everything. Sharing my story is awesome. Love, love, love that. Um, this straight hair thing, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get used to it, but I guess it's here to stay for a while, guys. I just wanna sit here. I had some comments come in. I really wanna just say thank you for those comments. Vicky, yes, thank you again for always listening, and yeah, self-doubt. Trust me, I get it, that queen of self-doubt. I'm right along with you. In time, I've been getting better and better and better at getting up because you know what? We just have to. Just to journey and be ourselves, we have to. And live in Wisconsin, of course, Wisconsin. I love every state, but you know what? Wisconsin's home. Wisconsin's home. So I will take that. So let's do our card reading. We're going to use, as always, because I love this deck. If I can pick it up, it's Lisa Williams Intuitive Soul Oracle deck. As always, guys, I'm sorry to say this. You may not be able to run out and get this deck anymore. It's in the archives. It's on secondhand shelves unless you speak other languages. And I don't think it's going to be coming out anymore as much as I wish it would. So we're going to do 4 cards with this today, and then we're going to do a clarifier card. The clarifier card, I'm going to use the Psychic Tarot from the Heart Oracle deck, and that's John Holland's. It just felt right about the heart because I've been talking about gratitude and thankfulness and things of that nature. So let's do our 4 cards here. As always, you can pick card number 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can pick 2 or more. I pick them all. Be greedy. You know, this is for you. It's something for you to look at for this week. Might be where you're at right now. Might be what you need to use for the week. Whatever. Okay. So let's do this. Okay, card number 1 is the dream card. Oh my God, I love this card. Connecting with self and spirit. Believe in power of your dreams. Guidance and direction. Guidance and direction. I love this card because it is about dreams. It is looking at what your subconscious allows to come out in the dreamland. Okay. So many times things happen and that we don't even realize, and paying attention to those is huge. Paying attention to those are huge. Sometimes that's the only way spirit can get things in because we're so busy or we don't pay attention. So for myself, when I look at this card, I think it's time for you to really start to pay attention to those dreams, attention to those connections that spirit is making with you, you know, in that subconsciousness of yours, okay? And you know what? They do it all the time, guys. They do it all the time. Spirit is constantly talking to us. We just have to take a moment to listen and pay attention, okay? So that's card number 1. Card number 2, oh, we haven't seen this one in a while. It is the power card, staying strong, strength, powerful, and firm. I love, love, love this card. I love this card. Because to me, power itself has nothing to do with the strength of your muscles. It has nothing to do with your attitude towards somebody else or a situation. It really means about you staying strong within yourself. Okay? You knowing yourself, you knowing where you sit in life and the power of you. That's where it's about. It's knowing who you are, being firm in who you are. Don't let anybody else push you out of that. Okay. So number 2 is really about you staying firm within yourself, the strength of yourself. Number 3, identity. I think we're coming on a pattern here. Identity, the self-discovery, authenticity, and being whole. Being whole. Like this, I gotta bring this one a little closer because that glare on there. Oh my God, I love this card. You pick number 3. It's your time to start looking within. It's your time to start looking within. Find out who you are. Be true to you. Stop being true to somebody else. This is your life. This is how you work. You know, look within yourself. Bring yourself together. Find the truth of who you are. Maybe you're just starting this journey, or maybe you're in the middle of it and you need a reminder. But that's what number 3 is about. Okay. Look within. And number 4 is communication, talking, taking action, listening, and opinionated. You see a pattern, guys? Do you see a pattern? I see a pattern coming here. So communication really is about that talking, really about listening. Communication is 2 ways, okay? So many people think communication is just about being talking and being heard, but it's also about listening, okay? That listening is a huge component. And I'm going to tell you, it's just not about listening to people around you. It's also listening to spirit, guys. It's listening to self. Okay. Communication is about all of this. We always try to cut out part of it. We try to cut out maybe communicating with ourselves, or we try to cut out that communication we have with spirit or our guides, or our loved ones that have passed away. But trust me, communication is everything. So look to other ways that they're communicating to you. Listen, take the time, okay? Take the time. So card number one was the dream card. It really is about allowing those dreams to happen, allowing yourself to connect to yourself, to your higher self, or yourself to spirit, and allowing those dreams to happen. Number two is the power card. That is about really about you standing in your own power, you being strong. Don't let anybody knock you out of your own power. Be firm in who you are. Number three is learning that identity of yourself. Really going within and saying, who am I authentically? Who is this person authentically? And pushing on from there. Because I'll tell you what, this is all you got at the end of the day. Number four was that communication card. Listening, guys, listening along with talking. Okay, because communication is more than just one. It's a little bit of everything. Okay. And don't forget, let spirit in. Let yourself in that communication. Listen to yourself. Just like the card before it said about self-discovery, you need to listen to yourself also. Okay? How many times have you thought to yourself or told yourself, I need to do this, but you never listen? It's time for you to listen. Okay? So let's do a card that will go with all cards. Do, 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 do. Ooh. Okay, well, I guess there's a few. Wow, there's three that flip out at me. So we're going to do three. Okay. So dedicated effort was the first one. You like that? It's saying no bullshit. No bullshit. You have to try. You need to dedicate to this stuff this week. There's no half-assing it this week. Okay. It is telling you to go to the solar plexus. That's that part in your middle, that gut feeling, that knowing, that inner work, that creativity, all of that. Okay. And the third one was find balance. Find balance. Okay. Because that's really what the name of the game is finding balance. Not going extreme one way or extreme the other, but to find that balance. Okay. I don't think we could have asked for better reading this week, because it's really telling you, guess what? It's time. If you have been ignoring this stuff, because you know what? They have been talking to you and telling you and doing everything week after week after week. And it's saying, it's calling your bluff, saying, hey, it's time. It's time for you to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. What do you think? Huh? You going to? I'm scolding, aren't I? It really is your game. It really is. Whatever you want to do. But you know what? If you stay around for the weekly reading and you're really asking, Spirit is really telling you, hey, it's time for you to start doing this stuff, because you know what? You're not leading you down the wrong path or the wrong road. So I want to bring up, and as always, guys, I'm going to put that into the chat for you guys, so that you have it. So later on, you can always go back to this post and check out what the reading was for the week if you were unsure of it. Okay. I do want to talk about all the shows, and I did get a new lineup, and I'm so happy about this too. So this week, as always, Monday morning, we start with myself, 9 a.m. That's School Through Spirit. On Tuesdays, God, Tuesdays are busy. 9 a.m. is Be the Change with Christina Bloom. 7 p.m. tomorrow night is Kevin Mackey with the New Bridge Radio. 8 p.m. is Haunted Voices with our very own Todd Bates. And at 10 p.m. is Paranormal Pete with Pete Orbea. Tuesdays, you have no reason not to listen to something, because we are there. Now, Wednesdays at 8 p.m., we have Over the Target with Missy Hart and Nicole Ford. I always want to put them two together. Thursdays at 8 p.m., we have the Afterlife Chronicle with Nicole Strickland. And 8 p.m. on Fridays is Secret Within with Renee Rodriguez. All of them phenomenal shows. And I want to let you know, I want you to know, if you ever want your own show, and trust me, Tuesdays can be like every other day of the week, and it can be busy every day of the week, because trust me, Todd lives for this. He loves the radio. He loves production. Literally message him. Go to the station, www.wltkdb.com. Message him, hey, I got a voice. I have a subject. There's something I want to talk about. He will help you. He makes this no-brainer for the rest of us. He really does, okay? You don't have to be a professional radio host. You just have to have a mouth. That's it. And he will help you do the rest. And then all you have to do is show up every week, okay? And decide what you want to talk about every week. Along with advertising, you're not going to get cheaper advertising than this. I mean, TV is awesome. Don't get me wrong. TV commercials, all that, booyah, awesome. But this doesn't go away. It's very inexpensive. Again, there's multiple packages, multiple deals Todd's always offering. Go in, you give him the information, you give him some ideas, he creates it. He comes back to you and says, hey, do you like this? And then he starts sharing it every week. Okay. It gets posted on our shows. Yes, they are live. Yes, your advertising showing live, but you know what else it's doing? It's going into the podcast form and then it's there forever. It doesn't go away. Your advertising, you're paying for the live, you're getting it in the podcast forever for free. Okay. So, which means it's never going to go away. Now, today you've been able to listen to me, and you'll be able to do this all week with any show live. You can watch us at the station itself, WLTKDB, which, trust me, it's kind of where we like you to go because then we get to see who's watching. But if you don't do that, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube. You know what? We're all over there live. Now we do go into a podcast form when we're done. After each of the shows, it goes to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbeam, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Audible, Amazon Music, which is also Amazon Prime. So, I mean, trust me, we're all over the place. If you're looking for my show specifically and you're going, DeEtte, I don't remember anywhere you said. One, you can go to my website, www.deetterenee.com, and you can find it there. Or you can go to my YouTube channel. And I really like you to go to my YouTube channel because why? We just started it last week. Like, booyah, my YouTube channel. It's been there for a few years, not active, just there. So you're going to look like I've had this long YouTube channel. I haven't. It just started, right? Really just started. We're putting my shows there, other content there. And that's just under DeEtte Renee. Very simple. Google me, guys. Google me. It's going to take you right to those things. If you are going to my YouTube channel, please take a moment. Hit the subscribe button. I want to see 1,000+ people there. And the more that come and subscribe, the more I'm going to put in there. The more I'm going to put in there. You never know. I might go to daily readings or something. You never know. Maybe I'll do daily lives on my YouTube if you show up and subscribe. I got to have people to listen in order to do this. With that being said, I want to talk about next week. Guess who's on next week? Guess what? I'm going to flip the page and tell you. I already know, but I want to make sure I don't have this wrong. Missy Hart. You know it. You know it. You want it. You got it. We're doing live readings again next Monday. One question live readings, but you have to show up. You have to show up. You have to show up through one of those forums. You have to show up through Psychic or WLTKDB, the site itself. You have to go to Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever. You have to go to those. You have to watch us live. You have to post a question. And when you do, we will give you our best psychic jargon, best psychic whatever we got to you. You know what? Because we love this. We love this. This is our life. And we're here to help you and to serve. So Paula Stevenson, when you asked a little while ago, would love to talk to a psychic. Next week, free readings, one question per person. Me and Missy are going to be doing psychic readings all next Monday morning. And it is going to be close to a 2-hour show. Okay. I'm going to bring her in shortly after 9 and say, let's do this because who cannot get enough of Missy? Okay. So as always, thank you for joining me today. It has been a pleasure. It has been a blast. And I'm always so grateful to see you every week here. This is DeEtte Renee on School Through Spirit with WLTKDB.com.